The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, A Counterintuitive Approach to Living a Good Life is a book by blogger and author Mark Manson. In it, Manson argues that life's struggles give it meaning, and that the mindless positivity of typical self-help books is neither practical nor helpful. It was a New York Times and bestseller. Some of the wisest and thought-provoking quotes from the book are: "Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for. You and everyone you know are going to be dead soon. And in the short amount of time between here and there, you have a limited amount of fucks to give. Very few, in fact. And if you go around giving a fuck about everything and everyone without conscious thought or choice, well, then you're going to get fucked." The desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And, paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. Unhealthy love is based on two people trying to escape their problems through their emotions for each other. In other words, they're using each other as an escape. Healthy love is based on two people acknowledging and addressing their own problems with each other's support. Life is essentially an endless series of problems. The solution to one problem is merely the creation of another. To be happy, we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. This is the most simple and basic component of life. Our struggles determine our successes. Don't just sit there. Do something. The answers will follow. Maturity is what happens when one learns to only give a fuck about what's truly fuck-worthy. Our crisis is no longer material, it's existential, it's spiritual. We have so much fucking stuff and so many opportunities that we don't even know what to give a fuck about anymore. The more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it. In my life, I have given a fuck about many people and many things. I have also not given a fuck about many people and many things. And like the road not taken, it was the fucks not given that made all the difference. We suffer for the simple reason that suffering is biologically useful. It is nature's preferred agent for inspiring change. We have evolved to always live with a certain degree of dissatisfaction and insecurity, because it's the mildly dissatisfied and insecure creature that's going to do the most work to innovate and survive. Being open with your insecurities paradoxically makes you more confident and charismatic around others. The pain of honest confrontation is what generates the greatest trust and respect in your relationships. Suffering through your fears and anxieties is what allows you to build courage and perseverance. If you want to change how you see your problems, you have to change what you value or how you measure failure or success. Don't hope for a life without problems, the panda said. There's no such thing. Instead, hope for a life full of good problems. Being wrong opens us up to the possibility of change. Being wrong brings the opportunity for growth. Because when we give too many fucks, when we choose to give a fuck about everything, then we feel as though we are perpetually entitled to feel comfortable and happy at all times. That's when life fucks us. If you're stuck on a problem, don't sit there and think about it, just start working on it. Even if you don't know what you're doing, the simple act of working on it will eventually cause the right ideas to show up in your head. People get addicted to feeling offended all the time because it gives them a high. Being self-righteous and morally superior feels good. Not giving a fuck does not mean being indifferent, it means being comfortable with being different. No matter where you go, there's a 500-pound load of shit waiting for you. And that's perfectly fine. The point isn't to get away from the shit. The point is to find the shit you enjoy dealing with. Decision-making based on emotional intuition, without the aid of reason to keep it in line, pretty much always sucks. You know who bases their entire lives on their emotions? 3-year-old kids. And dogs. You know what else 3-year-olds and dogs do? Shit on the carpet. Romeo and Juliet is synonymous with romance in our culture today. It is seen as the love story in English-speaking culture, an emotional ideal to live up to. Yet when you really get down to what happens in the story, these kids are absolutely out of their fucking minds. And they just kill themselves to prove it. It turns out that adversity and failure are actually useful and even necessary for developing strong-minded and successful adults. We are defined by what we choose to reject. And if we reject nothing, we essentially have no identity at all. But a true and accurate measurement of one's self-worth is how people feel about the negative aspects of themselves. If you think about a young child trying to learn to walk, that child will fall down and hurt itself hundreds of times. But at no point does that child ever stop and think, "Oh, I guess walking just isn't for me. I'm not good at it." We are responsible for experiences that aren't our fault all the time. This is part of life. We can be truly successful only at something we're willing to fail at. If we're unwilling to fail, then we're unwilling to succeed. The more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, as pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. Happiness is a constant work in progress, because solving problems is a constant work in progress. The solutions to today's problems will lay the foundation for tomorrow's problems, and so on. True happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. Yet, in a bizarre, backwards way, death is the light by which the shadow of all of life's meaning is measured. Without death, everything would feel inconsequential, all experience arbitrary, all metrics and values suddenly zero. Sadly, to deny one's negative emotions is to deny many of the feedback mechanisms that help a person solve problems. I say don't find yourself. I say never know who you are. Because that's what keeps you striving and discovering. And it forces you to remain humble in your judgments and accepting of the differences in others. We are actually often happier with less. When we're overloaded with opportunities and options, we suffer from what psychologists refer to as the paradox of choice. Basically, the more options we're given, the less satisfied we become with whatever we choose, because we're aware of all the other options we're potentially forfeiting. Not everybody can be extraordinary, there are winners and losers in society, and some of it is not fair or your fault. Which is your favorite quote from the book? Don't forget to mention it in comments.